Good morning, sports fans, and welcome once again to another edition of Coffee and Sports in the Morning here on Wire to Wire Sports. I'm your host for the next 2 days, Mr. William D. Morgan, and I have my gentleman here with me. First, I have the man who is over Wire to Wire, the NFL genius, my man Gene. Gene, what's going on?
Good morning. Good morning.
How you doing, man? How you doing today?
I'm good. I got my first round of golf scheduled for the year
There you go.
today at 1 o'clock. I'm gonna get in between my day off Wednesday. So
There you go. There you go. And this next brother has forgotten more basketball than I will ever know. My man Mo Better. Mo Better, what's up, man?
Hey, what's up, Will? What's up, Gene, and everybody out there joining us?
Oh man, it's good to be here. Good to be here. We started talking about this a little bit beforehand. I do want to go ahead and talk about it, get this out the way. BET ranked their 15 all-time black wrestlers. On that list, 1 and 2, I don't have a problem with it. Booker T was number 1, The Rock was number 2. If you want to interchange them to 1A, 1B, got no problem with that because both of those guys have made tremendous strides in the world of pro wrestling. I think, Gene, you said you had The Rock number 1?
I mean, listen, I said this before the show. I'll say it on air with like hesitancy, and I understand now that I understand a little bit more. I thought of a Samoan wrestler like when I think of Roman, when I think of The Rock, I think of Jacob Fatu, Solo Sikoa as Samoan, not black. Now, however, you guys corrected me. I didn't know The Rock had a black father.
Mm-hmm.
So if The Rock's black, then 100% The Rock's won. There's no, listen, not against Booker at all. The Rock is like he's been influential in them going over to Netflix. He's on board of directors. He's been one of the biggest names ever. I love Booker. 5 times. I love Booker, but he's not The Rock.
My only call for pause, and I get it, I understand that. My only call for pause, and the reason why I agree with Booker is because Booker got over at a time where black wrestlers were looked at differently than they are today. Booker got over at a time where black wrestlers will look as more as enhancement talent or jobbers, as they call those guys now. Booker got over at that time in GCW and stayed over everywhere he's been. I want America to understand how hard that is to do. GCW, World Class Championship Wrestling, was over, got the WCW, became tag team champs with Harlem Heat. You remember Harlem Heat, Mo? You remember Harlem Heat? Got over, then Stevie Ray left, got over as a singles wrestler. One of the most telling things about Booker, Arn Anderson put him over for that World TV Championship. That's something that can't be ignored when you have Arn Anderson putting you over in any capacity whatsoever. So, and then he goes to WWE, gets over, has a situation with the Signature Pharmacy thing, goes to TNA, over, comes back to WWE, over. So I just think that Booker was over everywhere that he's been, and that has to count for something. But if you got The Rock number 1, I totally understand it because again, he's the best talker I've ever seen. He's the best person I've ever seen cut a promo, and that's saying a lot during the Stone Cold Steve Austin era. Mo, what are you thinking about that list? Did you get a chance to read that list first of all?
I didn't read the list, but look, it's simple for me. The fact that Rock is of mixed heritage, he'd be number 1 on my list. And everything you said about Booker is true. It is. But if we're looking at the overall impact one man has had in that arena, it's The Rock. I would go Rock 1, Booker 2. And look, shout out to Cottrell, by the way, up in the chat, and Carmike. I'm actually with Cottrell. I actually think as a talent, Sheldon Benjamin was more talented than both of them. But he never got that push. And maybe somebody forward thinking was like he didn't get that push because, to be fair, Sheldon Benjamin was not good on the mic. He did not have any mics. Even to this day, he's not great on the mic. That's just one of Sheldon Benjamin's fault. And if you're going to elevate yourself in that area in professional wrestling, you got to be talented in the ring, and you got to have the gift of gab out the ring. He did not have that. But yeah, look, in the bigger topic, I got Rock 1.
Shelton didn't get that gift of gab till he left went over to Japan and came back, and that's when he started talking. But by then, whatever championship push McMahon wanted to put on him was already gone. So that's messed Shelton up. But I'm just looking at this list. Ron Simmons is your first black world heavyweight champion, and you have him at number 7?
So who's ahead of Ron Simmons?
Really?
The Junkyard Dog is 6. Sasha Banks / Mercedes Moné is 5.
Huge problem with that.
Mark Henry is 4. Kofi Kingston is 3. The Rock is 2, and Booker T is 1.
So I would have Ron Simmons ahead of everybody but the first 2.
Yeah, me too.
My man Farouk.
Ooh, beat Vader in WCW for the world title. Ain't never gonna forget that.
Bro, you remember the Nation of Domination?
Oh, yes, sir.
We
Yes,
are
sir.
the Nation.
Yeah.
Domination.
What was old boy that had the funny wiggle move? D'Lo Brown. That
D'Lo
guy
Brown.
had me rolling.
D'Lo Brown. Man, he was so funny, like a big old bobblehead out there. He was amazing. But yeah, I just got it. No Butch Reed, no Coco Beware.
And Hacksaw Butch Reed was a beast. Like,
Oh my gosh, that man was a
he's
beast.
not even on the list. And
No.
he was a much better performer than Mark Henry ever would be. It doesn't even
He was
match
a-
up.
He was a
Right.
monster. And I
Yeah.
don't have a problem with Devon Dudley per se, but remember,
I have
Devon Dudley.
Kofi over. By the way, I have Kofi over Farouk. You had Kofi behind The Rock and Booker T. You have him 3. I have Kofi 3. Kofi Kingston, what he's done over the course of between the New Day, between his singles run, I definitely have Kofi over Farouk.
He's not Grand Slam, but he's close. He's close to it. So,
But
yeah,
there's only one first.
You're right.
There's only one first, which is why I would go with, like, we're talking about the character Farouk. I'm talking about Ron Simmons. Ron Simmons, the wrestler, and what he did as Ron Simmons. You can't redo first. He is the first. Like, he became a world champion when the brothers wasn't becoming world champions.
No.
Like if you really get into it, go back to when Rock's dad, Rocky Johnson and Tony Atlas won the tag team championship, right?
Yep.
That was history making. And maybe I'm wrong, but I think they had like the shortest run. Like they won the championship and it was history making. They didn't hold on to the belts that long. Like brothers wasn't getting put over back in the day at all. Like they was, especially in WWE. In WWE, if you was a brother, you was a jobber. You was the dude that's winning the match for 90% of the match.
Yep.
And then at the end of the match, you was getting pinned.
Devon did make it. He was at number 10.
Let me read the list out. So everybody understands it. It's Jazz is 15, Shelton Benjamin's 14, Naomi is 13, Jacqueline is 12, Big E is 11, Devon, get the table.
Yep.
Dudley is number 10. And listen, I think that this person will move up a ton by the end of their career. But right now you have Bianca Belair at number 9, Bobby Lashley, who I think stinks, is number 8. Ron Simmons is number 7. The Junkyard Dog is 6. Sasha Banks / Mercedes Moné is 5. Mark Henry 4. Kofi Kingston 3. The Rock 2. Booker T 1. Coco Beware should be right in between Devon Dudley and Big E. In my opinion.
I agree.
I don't think Devon should be rated that high, man. I'm sorry, like that. I get the Dudley Boys and what they did as a tag team, but as an individual wrestler, he didn't have any impact. He didn't do much of anything. Like, how is he ahead of some of the people that he's over? I'll put it this way, and I don't really care what someone who's listening says. This is very much a BET list. Because I'm just keeping a buck as a BET list.
Give it a buck.
It's not really a list of who's actually a better performer or wrestler for the most part. They're literally going on name recognition on some of these rankings. So it's their list. I don't agree with it, but it is what it is.
Facts. I don't see how Sasha Banks is over Jacqueline. I don't see how she's over Jazz. Jacqueline was kicking dudes' butts over in WCW and in Mid-South. Yeah, y'all better go look at Jacqueline, boy. Woo-wee. And Disco Inferno wanted no part of her in that match in WCW.
Right. So and let me get this in real quick.
Go ahead.
I'm not hating on Junkyard Dog. I'm not. I'm actually a fan of JYD. What made him a huge star was he had an incredible gimmick and he milked that gimmick to the max.
Sure, I did.
But as an in-ring performer, he was very limited. Like he was maybe a beat more skilled than Ultimate Warrior, who was not skilled at all. Like JYD had 3 moves: headbutt, power slam, and a butt. And that's not even a wrestling move. I'm just being real.
You're right. You ain't lying, Mo. You ain't lying.
He just had a really good gimmick, but he wasn't really that great a wrestler. And he won a lot of belts, but he won them he won a lot of regional belts, right? Mid-South, Mid-Atlantic. When he goes to WWE, 0 impact, won no belt, didn't do nothing. Vince didn't mess with the brothers like that. He just didn't.
I think another thing that helped JYD too was the fact they had him with Hogan a lot. And I think that's the one thing that really helped him. I think that was about the only thing that really, to me, I'm not trying to take away his greatness, because I know he has a lot of fans amongst my age group. He's got a lot of fans out there. But if you go back and really look at him in WWE, WWF at that time, he didn't win a whole lot of championships. He was over in a lot of storylines, don't get me wrong, but when it comes to titles, he didn't win a whole lot of titles. Now, I
think that the question we got to ask ourselves, Will, is how are we ranking them? Are we ranking them based off of their success in WWE? Or are we ranking them based off their impact? Are we ranking them based on how talented they were?
Right.
Like, you know what? I looked up this list when you sent it. I didn't realize Kofi Kingston had over 2,000 matches.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas Booker T has a shade over 700. So, like, I think that matters, right? Like, I'm not saying Kofi's ahead of Booker, but like when I look at some of these, like Kofi is such a better in-ring performer than anybody on this list. Like if I'm just being like looking at the in-ring performance, and what he's done as far as impact as a singles wrestler, as a tag teams wrestler, as a faction, like I don't know, just
that time that Kofi was the world champ. Oh my goodness, he was so freaking over. Everybody was cheering when he was world champ. Yeah, I had an issue. When he lost to Brock on that SmackDown. I was pissed.
But if you look at his stat, his Intercontinental title run, his U.S. title run, his tag team title run, like what he's had 2,100 matches. Like that's a huge number. Like in comparison, The Rock, who is although is what you would call him a part-timer, has had less than 800.
Yeah. Like I say, hell of a wrestler. He did hell of a wrestler. What were you about to say, Mo?
I was just gonna say, yeah, but the thing is different for each wrestler. Like, yeah, Kofi's had over 2,000 matches. You rattled off all the things he's accomplished, but he's never popped, even at the height of his height. He's never popped the way The Rock has.
Oh no, you're absolutely right.
You know what I mean. So I'm respectful of what we're saying, but some guys just when they find that character and they have it, The Rock popped on a different level. Like The Rock's relationship to the fans is as big as Jey Uso's relationship is. It isn't that big. You know what I'm saying? Like The Rock had it, and he made that work as a face or as a heel. That's just unique. I love Kofi. If we were doing this list and we were saying you got to factor in ring, the accomplishments, and maybe their mics all together, I would actually put Kofi ahead of Booker T. I would. But then again, like I said, this is a very BET centric list.
Real quick, giving me a Mount Rushmore. Who would you be your Mount Rushmore?
Of African American wrestlers, or just wrestlers in general?
African American.
Well, if we're counting Rock as a brother, and I think he's a brother. I'm just in terms of total impact. I'd have Rock there. I'd have Kofi there. I'd have Booker T there.
And Ron Simmons.
Yeah. I'd have Ron Simmons there too. Like I said, there's only one guy that will ever wear the title of the first, the breakthrough guy. It's Ron Simmons.
Ron Simmons. Cottrell, real quick. R-Truth, go check him out in TNA. He was a 2-time TNA world champion. he was serious for a time before he started being this comedic wrestler. And he still has one of the greatest promos with Ricky Steamboat I have ever seen. So definitely go check him out over at TNA. Oh my gosh, that promo he did with Ricky Steamboat, ooh-wee, that was amazing.
Hey, Will, let me ask you a question. Go ahead.
I wanted to ask a question about R-Truth.
Mm-hmm.
As a white male, I somewhat feel uncomfortable watching the gimmicks that they put R-Truth in front of. So, like, I ask you guys, like, what are your thoughts on R-Truth? Like, I think he's hilarious, and I think that there's some of the gimmicks they have him involved in are super funny. Like the other night when he was calling out his Louisiana night, like it was LA night. Like I love that comic relief. But if you go back to some of the gimmicks they've had R-Truth be involved in, with it's just him. Like how do y'all feel watching him? Like, do you feel like they put him up there as someone that like just lacks intelligence, or is just silly, or like I'm just telling you how I feel sometimes. I almost feel like it's the uncomfortable thing that no one talks about.
So I think R-Truth walks a really fine tightrope between being funny and look, this is the morning show, so we keep it 100, and between being funny and maybe leaning almost buffoonish or coonish. I'm just saying, it's a fine line, and he walks it really well. And it's not easy to walk that line. It really isn't. When I think about guys that I thought I felt that way about that made me cringe a little bit, I think Coco Beware made me cringe like that a lot. He made me cringe like that a lot because I thought they made him into more of a show and a clown. Because look, and you guys might know this better than me, and I've watched wrestling for a minute. How many major titles did Coco wear? How many major belts did he win? Because off the top of my head, if he ever won a belt, probably held it for a month at the most, if that. I just thought that him coming out with the shiny, flamboyant thing and always smile, like there's certain wrestlers that can make you cringe. He made me cringe the same way. When he went to the WWF, Dusty Rhodes made me cringe when he came out in the polka dots with the stupid music.
I feel you on that. I feel you on that. Yeah.
I didn't like
yeah.
that was cringe, man. But that was that was Vince. Well, that was Vince being petty. But Vince was petty all the way around with a lot of people like that. And he didn't have remember back in the day, Tony Atlas was Tony Atlas.
Yep.
He leaves WWF, comes back, and they got him being some kind of African dude, Saba Simba, like with the stupid music and stuff. Come on, man.
Stupid, man.
Come on.
Stupid.
I'm just saying, to be fair to R-Truth, living in where we live now, I think he does a hell of a job walking that tightrope. So I'm good with it.
Okay. I think Coco, I think Coco gets in the Hall of Fame just because he was a good hand. I think it was a good hand. He did what he was asked to do. I think that's the reason why he got into the WWE Hall of Fame. Didn't win a lot in terms of titles. That guy who put him in, that guy who inducted him, I think, if memory serves, was Honky Tonk Man. He never put Coco over for any of those IC titles. They fought several times. He never put Coco over for any of those IC title matches they had on Raw and pay-per-views. So what does that tell you? I mean, I just think he got over. As far as R-Truth made me uncomfortable one time when he went out there and wore the uniform of the Confederacy. That was kind of cringe to me for him to do that. But you're right, Mo. He does walk a fine line sometimes, and he does it well, but it's still a fine line.
I think he's hilarious. I'm with Gene. I think he's funny. I think he's got a niche for natural comedic scenes.
Yep.
I think he's gifted that way. He can do things that a lot of brothers could never do and pull off. So
yep.
I want to give him his flowers for that. But it is a very fine line that he walks.
I'm glad that I wasn't like sitting in my own bubble watching that and being like, this is kind of close to being like too much, but I get it. Just
hell of an athlete, though. Hell of an athlete, and he will be in the Hall of Fame soon. I truly believe that. Just for his comedic banter alone, and for his entertainment factor alone, he'll be in the Hall of Fame. He's also won some titles, some tag team championships, a couple of U.S. championships. So he's been a champion. So I think it would be a Hall of Famer. It might not be first ballot, but yeah, He'll be in there eventually. All right, let's go ahead and go over the NBA. Fellas, we got the Cleveland Cavaliers winning their 15th straight for a second time in a row. Mo, I got to go to you. What do you think about that feat?
It's a big accomplishment for them. Look, they're playing great, like top to bottom. When you look at their depth, the way they defend, the way they score, share the basketball, they're winning when Donovan Mitchell take nights off. That's just how much confidence they have in their team and what they can do. I will say this: when you play the way they've played through the regular season, and you get these high expectations, pressure's a different thing to deal with. When they get to the postseason, are they going to look the way they've looked in the regular season? I think that's a real question I have, because when you build up a team like that and they go, well, it's only a matter. We know for sure Cleveland's going to be in the conference finals, and they should be. They really should be. But who's to say an upstart team like Detroit, who has nothing to fear, they're so young, they don't know what they don't know. They walk in the playoffs, they're playing with house money. If they lose in the first round, we're still going to say, what a great season Detroit had. If Cleveland loses in the first round, we're going to kill them. We're going to kill them.
Ooh, Cottrell asked this question. I'm sorry, Carmack asked this question.
No.
I don't think they do either.
That's 17 straight more wins.
No,
I don't think so either.
That's Carmack, by the way.
That's Carmack, I'm sorry.
That's not going to happen. Even if it does happen, let's say it does happen. If they win 72 games and they don't win the championship, I don't care.
That would be a 32-game winning streak.
Right. Which is amazing. But if you have that winning streak and you don't win a title, the only people that'll care is like hardcore fans that'll go, but they won 70. I won't care.
What do you think, Gene? What's your thoughts on the Cavaliers and how they're playing during this streak?
I gotta see how they play in the postseason. I gotta determine if they're like a team on the come up that's going to be successful in many, many postseasons going forward, or if they're the Utah Jazz of 4 years ago. Like I think that matters, right? And I'm not saying that they won't be successful in the postseason. Right now, I have them losing in the Eastern Conference Finals to Boston. That's kind of where I'm at right now. But it's not against Cleveland. I'll be honest with you. They made me a complete believer during this season. But with that being said, I just got to see it. Just like Mo says every week that he has to see Oklahoma City win in the postseason. I have to see the Celtics or the Cavaliers win the postseason. I don't think they're losing the first round, because the teams that they would be playing in that play-in, Atlanta, Orlando, Miami, or Chicago, will have no chance of beating them in a 7-game series. But in the second round, I could definitely see them losing to a team like Milwaukee, the Knicks, the Pistons, probably not the Pacers, but they need to win 2 rounds of basketball or it's a failure, right?
Yeah.
Yes, very much so. And anybody, as we saw at OKC last season, when they would against the Mavericks, anybody can be upset. I got another question, and some of y'all might find this egregious, but I'm gonna ask it anyway. Who is your MVP, SGA or Joker?
It's not egregious. It's becoming less and less egregious each day. And me and Mo talked about this yesterday, so I'll be quick. I think it's SGA, but I understand why Joker's going to be there every year, and because of what he does. But SGA is the best player on the best team. It's a regular season award, and I feel like that we've gotten away from that. Like, and I agree with Mo. What Mo says, so I'm gonna just stop. SGA.
Mo.
Gina and I talked about this. I've got SGA as the MVP. To be clear, I'm not saying he's the best player in basketball. I'm saying he's the MVP, and he's a terrific player. But they kind of move the criteria of the MVP around so much. It used to be just the best player. That guy's the MVP, and then it became the best player of the team with the best record. And even then, I didn't have a problem with it. I got it. They valued winning more. But look, Joker's numbers make it a race. I don't think SGA wins it in a walk. I think that I think he should be the favorite. But if Joker keeps going 30, 20, and 19 and stuff like that, and the Nuggets continue to win, it is a real conversation. So I got no problem with that. But I think SGA is the front runner.
What's that saying? What's that saying? While you're watching 2K, when you can watch Joker play, that just amazing. I gotta ask you guys this, and I know you've been watching it. This whole Stephen A. Smith and the LeBron James fiasco. What is your guys' opinion on that?
So
Mo?
Initially, when you see it and it happens, it was, well, LeBron stepped to Stephen A. and told Stephen A., keep my son's name out of your mouth. You got to stop talking trash about my son, right? And I initially thought, I get it. He's standing up for his son. But when I really thought about it, I thought, when was the last time a player was allowed to confront a member of the media? Confront them in a threatening way? The answer would be never. Because anybody else that would have done that, you're suspended or there's some kind of action taken, right? And my problem with LeBron doing that is this. It's his fault. He laid the groundwork. Before the season started, what did LeBron say when he's talking to the media? I don't know if any of y'all noticed, but Bronny don't give a damn what you say. He don't care. He said that. He set the groundwork, right? In the history of basketball, when have we ever talked about a dude that was drafted 55th?
Right.
We don't talk about him. You know why? Because 9 times out of 10, when you're drafted 55th, we don't hear from you again, maybe after you're drafted. Ever again. And you're one of the greatest players ever. You're 1-2 in the Mount Rushmore players. Your son falls in your shadow. But if you're going to talk about the kind of pro he is, remember, LeBron also said Bronny can come in here right now and he's better than some of the pros right now, which the guy's not even an NBA player ready yet, right? Like he laid down that sword and put that X on his son's chest. And the thing is, I'm not a huge Stephen A. Smith fan, but what he said about Bronny was, look what he's done. He hasn't done anything. He is a G League, D League player, whatever you want to call him, but he has no business being on the regular season roster. He doesn't. He's taken up a roster spot he hasn't earned. He hasn't. So my thing is, whether you're coming across as a father looking out for your son is now, technically a professional basketball player. And if you want him to be considered a man, then you got to let him stand himself. Like if Bronny felt like Stephen A. was out of pocket, then Bronny should go, hey, man, keep my name out your mouth, right? He could do that, right? He's a professional player. We don't let people confront people that way. And yet he was able to do it and walk away with it. And look, if I keep it 100, I feel like it was just another LeBron moment. I felt like he knew he was going to do it, so he went ahead and do it. He doesn't do anything spontaneous.
Oh, 100%. You're 100% right.
He does nothing spontaneous. That was 100% planned and calculated because that's who he is.
So this is what I was going to get into, and I hate that. Look, my nemesis cannot be on my side. Let me just say something real quick. And I know that Stephen A., the journalist, is got to be over the top. That's just who he is. I almost look at Stephen A. the way I look at like The Rock, John Cena. Like, sure, they're guys, but they're characters, right? Like, he's not that way 100% of the time. And if he is, that's just a different personality. But like, I got shade for both of them. And here's the shade I'll give both. I cringed when Stephen A. went on First Take and was just like, LeBron, I'm pleading to you as a father. Like, stop doing this. Like, stop putting Bronny out there. Like that was the part that I agree with that was annoying. And if I was LeBron, like, he didn't keep it basketball. And if I was LeBron, I would be annoyed by that. Now, for LeBron to make it like he made that comment because of Bronny is absolutely incorrect. And that's where I just don't understand that, right? So, like, I'll take it a step further. Why in the world is he coming at Stephen A. Smith saying Bronny, like saying things like that when the conversation he was really mad about, and if you listen to the conversation he had with Richard Jefferson, it was because he was talking to LeBron, I'm pleading to you as a father.
Right.
Like, it's about you, bro. It's not about Bronny. The comment that got you upset wasn't him saying Bronny's trash. Like, oh my God, this guy don't belong in the NBA. The comment that he said was about LeBron, you as a father can't keep putting him on. So, like, the reason he got upset was because it was about him. So 6-1, half a dozen the other. They're both wrong for the way they handled it.
Agreed.
I would invite you to listen to Gil's Arena. I love that podcast.
I checked it out. I checked it out yesterday.
I saw it the other day. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And Stephen A wasted no time going on his media tour, because if LeBron James calls you out in the middle of a nationally televised basketball game, you have to go on a media tour. You're just missing the moment.
Oh yeah. Real quick, let me add this other person on. He is from the Sports Report podcast, my boy, and the Geek Gauntlet podcast as well. My boy Ando. Ando, what's up?
Good morning, boys. How are we doing today?
How you doing, man?
How's it going, Ando?
Yeah, you know what? I am slowly waking up, but we are here. We are live, and we're ready to rock and roll. Let's get this going, man.
All right, Ando, real quick. I know you heard about it. We talked about it the other day. This thing going on between Stephen A. and LeBron James. What their thoughts on that?
So you know how I feel about LeBron. Being a Michael Jordan baby, I think LeBron is the second best player in the NBA. That being said, LeBron, I don't think any player, if you're playing on the court, should you have a say of what goes on in the team structure? I think you should have some say, but you should not have the final pull. If LeBron is in fact pulling the strings and saying, hey, let my kid play on the court, he shouldn't be allowed to do that. I don't think players should have any type of pull like that. Just play the game. If you want to be la GM, stop playing and get in the front office. But you got to defend your kid at the same time. And if LeBron took what Stephen A was saying as a dig at his kid, you need to be able to defend your kid. So I'm kind of on both sides of the coin. If I can play devil's advocate, I understand where LeBron's coming from to defend his kid, but at the same time, focus on playing. Your job more is to play for the team, not to run the team.
Go ahead, Mo. Go ahead.
I would just say, to Gene's point, Gene is spot on. They're both wrong, but LeBron confronting Stephen A. Smith wasn't about Bronny. It was about LeBron giving himself another PR moment. That's what it was about. That's what it was about.
Yeah.
And I'm not, like I said, I don't even know if that's a good look. You're a hulking 6'9" guy approaching some diminutive 52, 50, whatever, however old Stephen A. Smith is, and you're all like, it could be about me and you. And I'm like, for him, you got smoke. You want to talk to him. You want to approach him. But you don't have any smoke for the guy that said what he said about you in regards to you and him having the same drug guy. No smoke for him. No confrontation for him. Didn't sue him for slander. Didn't do anything. I don't understand that.
My only issue, and I agree with you too, Gene. I think they were both wrong. I think they were both incorrect. My only other issue is this: at some point, you got to let Bronny be a man and let him fight his own battles. And that's the one thing that made me upset about this. I get coming out for your kid. I understand that point. Being a single father of 3, I got you. But when your son gets to a certain age, I got a 31-year-old back there. He's more than capable of handling his own battles. He's more than capable of handling things on his own. Now, if I have to step in, then so be it, but you got to let your son at some point be a man and handle his own business. And that was my major issue with LeBron. Yes, say what you're going to say. It's not like you're going to stop Stephen A from talking what he's talking about, because Stephen A is not degrading Bronny so much as a person, but as an athlete. And when you put yourself out there like that as an athlete, then you open yourself up to criticism. Now, if he said some personal stuff about Bronny, I understand it. But from what I saw, he's not saying anything personal about Bronny. It's about his performance on the court. And that's and everybody's open to criticism. When you get out there, everybody, if it was me, you, Mo, Ando, we're all going to be criticized for our performance on the court. If I go out there and score 2 points, I know I'm going to be talked about. I know I'm going to be talked about.
Did you score the game-winning 2 points in your only 5 seconds of playing well? Because I would say, hey, that guy, get your Hall of Famer right there.
Oh my goodness! Oh my goodness!
And look, Will, if Bronny James turns around in his second year in the league, and let's say he makes the main roster and averages 10 points, 5 rebounds, and 5 assists, then we'll turn around. At least I know I will, and go look at him. The kids develop into a legitimate rotation play. You give him his flowers when they're earned.
Right.
He hadn't really earned anything yet. And look, I get it. If I had the power that LeBron James had, and I could go to Jeannie Buss and go, look, I love being a Laker. I love being here. But if you want me to love it a little bit more, you can draft my kid. If I had that kind of power, I would probably wield it that way too. But once I make it happen and he is on that roster, it's up to him to earn his way, right? And you know what I mean? Like from that point on, he's a professional athlete. And when you're in that arena, you have to know criticism comes with praise. It's the same thing. You're gonna get your fair share of both. My only problem about the whole incident, and what annoys me the most, is I just felt like LeBron stepped out on it and made it more about a LeBron moment. And when everybody was saying like he's talking about Bronny, really Stephen A. Smith, like Gene said, was talking about LeBron. He wasn't talking about Bronny. He was talking about LeBron, and that was that corny PR spot that Stephen A. did with the LeBron as a father. He's right. When he did that, that was cringe. That was cringe, and it was corny, and it was wrong. But then LeBron doubled down on confronting him, and that was wrong.
I completely agree with everything you just said.
So wrong on so many sides.
The other thing I will mention is keep in mind that LeBron and Bronny, for that matter, though Bronny's not playing much, are playing in the biggest media market in the NBA. I think everybody will sit here and say that the Lakers is the best brand name in NBA. Some people will say the Knicks, but the Knicks haven't been relevant for 30 years. So you're playing in the biggest media market in the NBA. You know they're going to be watching every hair on LeBron and Bronny, and any type of bad press is going to get put on. It doesn't matter who's covering it.
Facts. And let me ask you this. Speaking of coverage, there was Charles Barkley was on TNT this week saying that some networks were stupid for only covering the Lakers and the Warriors and not looking at the Cavs and the Warriors. Does Charles Barkley have a point, guys?
Look, I'm a Laker fan, but I can be honest. When the Lakers are bad, they still talk about the Lakers like they're good. When the Lakers are in 7th and 8th place trying to make the play-in, they still get more press than the teams that are 1 and 2 in the conference. Charles not wrong on that. That's facts. And the argument, why are we talking about when Golden State is a bottom feeder team? Why are we talking about Golden State and not celebrating OKC and the other really good? We do that all the time. It's been going on for years. It just so happens this particular season, the Lakers make a monster trade, which that trade alone is going to put more attention on the Lakers. And then the fact that it worked, at least to this point, yes, now the Lakers deserve to get the coverage they get. Same for the Warriors with the Jimmy Buckets move. They deserve it now, but there was a time when they were both bottom feeders and they still got more press than anybody else. So that when he said Charles says a lot of out-of-pocket stuff, that's actually spot on. That's actually true.
Yeah, but this isn't new though, Mo. It's not new. In football, it's the Dallas Cowboys. You heard the Dallas Cowboys all damn year with Cooper Rush as their quarterback. In baseball, it's the New York Yankees. It's constantly, whether they're good or bad. They have not won a world championship since 2009. So, like in baseball, it's the New York Yankees. In every sport, they have those teams. And I think the Lakers have earned that, right? They have 17 championships, just like the Boston Celtics have 18. The New York Yankees have 27 titles. Like you look at the Dallas Cowboys, even though I hate the Cowboys, they have 5 Super Bowl rings. They have the biggest attraction of a stadium. Every sport is going to have those polarizing teams. And it's the reason that you find more Philadelphia Cowboys fans, more Philadelphia Lakers fans, more, and I'll use a different city, more Atlanta Yankees fans or Miami Yankees fans, because you actually see a worldwide coverage of a brand and a sport and a team. So it's not wrong because Cleveland hasn't. If LeBron James was in Cleveland, I guarantee you the coverage would still be just as much as the Lakers and just as much as any other of these teams.
Sure.
But the most marketable player on the Cleveland Cavaliers is Donovan Mitchell. Like that's not LeBron James. That's not Steph Curry. That's not. It's just not. And I'm sorry if that comes off as your team's not getting enough coverage, but I'll remind you of a slogan in Philadelphia in 2018, and it's "We're underdogs. No one likes us, and we don't care." That's the slogan those Cavaliers need to have.
I will. The argument that I'll make, it's what Seven said on the Sports Reports podcast on Monday. Look at Kansas City. They're a perfect example, right? Nobody was talking about Kansas City for 40, 45 years. Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid comes in. The first year Patrick Mahomes takes them to the AFC Championship game and they lose to New England, everybody's like, oh, man, the Chiefs, they're still scrubs. But that Patrick Mahomes guy, he's going to be something. The next year, it's the first year that the Chiefs win the Super Bowl. Hey, but Patrick's really good. The Chiefs team's coming along. All of a sudden, everybody hates the Chiefs because the Chiefs now are a dynasty in the making. The only way for them smaller market teams like Cleveland and Oklahoma City to have respect put on their name is to be good consistently and at a consistent basis. And this is the year where we saw it last year with OKC. They finished second in the West last year, second or third in the West last year. And they're looking to finish first in the West this year. Yeah, Cleveland played the exact same way. They finished fourth in the East, had a really awesome series with the Magic, and then ended up losing to Boston. And then this year, they've already clinched the Central Division. Not that the divisions mean anything anymore in basketball.
Facts.
But they are the only team as of today that has clinched a playoff spot. So Cleveland is doing what they got to do. Gene said it best. Everybody hates an underdog. I don't know why. Underdogs are freaking amazing. But everybody loves an underdog. And I think Cleveland and OKC, and I think maybe New York to a lesser extent, are kind of relishing in that underdog role. Now, New York needs to beat somebody above 500 to kind of hold on to that underdog role. But yeah, Cleveland and OKC doing what they got to do to put respect on their name.
Look, to be fair about what Cottrell said, that's not breaking news. Shaq is he's number one on the list when we talk about when former basketball players or football players for that matter go on TV and they could be a great player, but they actually don't know their own sport. They don't know how to talk their own sport. Shaq knows nothing about basketball. He knows nothing about basketball from a historical point. He knows nothing about basketball in the present sense. Shaq knows one thing, and he says it and he mumbles it all the time. 28-12, 28-12. That's what D. Scott told me to get it. That's all he knows. That's all he knows. Shaquille O'Neal is not a great analyst. That's not breaking news. Charles Barkley is entertaining as hell, but in terms of actually analyzing the game, he doesn't do that.
That's why Shaq and Charles Barkley are on TV, just to argue with each other. So people can have a viral moment of laughing at them saying they're going to fight each other over, or having Shaq say something to Charles and having them get in an argument on set. They're just there for entertainment.
Yeah. I like Kenny Smith more than anybody. I think Kenny Smith has a really good mind for the basketball game.
He does, but that's funny that you said it because it goes to Gene's point. Kenny does have a good basketball mind, but he's the boring one.
Oh yeah.
Oh, cool.
Facts.
So that means I'm the minority because I like the boring people.
Hey, I'm in the minority.
Let's go.
I don't love underdogs. I like dominant teams. I like teams that win multiple championships. I don't care about the little guy. Squash them. I don't care.
Funny you say that, Mo, because I would love a Cleveland Cavaliers, Oklahoma City Thunder championship. But I promise you this, the national attention would not be nowhere near as big as it would be if it was Lakers Celtics.
Yeah, those ratings, man.
I would love it as a basketball man. I think Andrew would love it as a guy that's on my realm of boring, but like.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah. All right, you guys, I do want to get into a little bit of the NFL very, very quickly. We had some things that went down overnight and in the past couple of days. I do want to talk about Joey Bosa signing that 1-year deal with the Buffalo Bills. Gene, I gotta get with you on this. What do you think that impact would be? And can he stay healthy?
I mean, I hate Joey Bosa, right? Like, and
Nick
I
Bosa's way
want you
better.
to I want you to understand the hate that I have for
Oh my
Joey Bosa.
gosh.
Joey Bosa went to. I don't know if y'all ever seen the clip of it. I shared it the hell out of it when it happened. But Joey Bosa went to watch his brother Nick play when the 49ers played at Philadelphia in the NFC Championship game.
2023 NFC Championship game.
What'd you say?
2023 NFC Championship game.
And a couple Eagles fans were heckling him, and they were messing with him like Bosa, and Joey Bosa responded like the absolute knuckle dragger he is, like the absolute moron he is. Like he's just absolutely ridiculous. He's like, I got more money than you, and like I'm rich, and like just his response was the typical meathead response you would get in a locker room. And
he dropped, didn't he drop like a slur to the fans as well? Didn't he drop like the F word to the fans as well?
Yeah, he did. Yeah. The main thing that he said was, I have more money to pay my fines than you do because I'm rich and you're not. And like, the response that he has is so I don't like him, right? Yeah. He's a good football player. Yeah. I think that he'll go to Buffalo and be able to rush the quarterback and make their defense a little bit better for a 1-year run. Do I think it gets Buffalo over the top? Probably not. I think Buffalo spends money moronically. And if you look at this offseason, the way Buffalo has spent their money, they overpaid Khalil Shakir. I don't know what we're doing there. Like they're just a bad organization when it comes to spending money. So I don't necessarily care that much about the movement. I think it'll get Buffalo fans excited, but at the end of the day, I don't think it moves the needle.
Mo, any thoughts on Bosa moving over to the Bills?
I'm kind of like Cottrell on this. I mean, both of the Bosa brothers are meatheads, so you know, I think the Bosa move to the Bills will have a bigger impact on the next edition of Madden than it will in real life.
That's fact. I like that.
Yeah, that too. I like that too. Gene's Eagles made a trade. They trade CJ Gardner-Johnson to the Texans for Keon Green. What do you think about that move, Gene?
You're not going to find a guy that likes CJ Gardner-Johnson more than me.
I ain't like him as a Saint, to be honest.
I love him. I absolutely love him. You're not going to find a guy that likes him more than me. The problem with CJ Gardner-Johnson is he's an asshole.
Yep.
Like, and he's an asshole to everyone. And he's an equal opportunity asshole. And that's the last time I'll say that. But like, the truth is, he wears out his welcome very quickly. Now, one thing you can't ignore about CJ Gardner-Johnson is he impacts winning. Every team he's on, winning follows him. 2022, or go back to the Saints.
Mm-hmm.
That defense played winning football.
Mm-hmm.
2022, the Philadelphia Eagles went to the Super Bowl. 2023, the Eagles went to the Super Bowl with CJ Gardner-Johnson. He leaves the team. He goes to the Lions. The Lions go to the NFC Championship game, the furthest they've been in 30 years.
Yep.
He comes back to the Philadelphia Eagles. They win the Super Bowl. But there's a reason why a lot of these teams aren't re-signing him or re-signing him long-term. And it's because what he did to Darius Slay when they were still trying to re-sign Darius Slay. He'll go on Twitter and pop off and just say some shit. Like, he'll wear a shirt about Taylor Swift. Like, that just, he's an asshole. And he's great in getting the passion behind the defense. And I love what he brings to our defense, the toughness that will get in your face. But I guarantee you that wears thin on a locker room. And I think that what Howie Roseman was doing was, I can clear some cap. I think he's going to go after Justin Simmons for cheaper.
Me too.
And I think that clears some cap. It gives them some offensive line depth. You're adding a guy like Kenyon Green into Stoutland University, who's the best offensive line coach in football. It's not close. What he did with Mekhi Becton is insane. But you're adding a former first-round draft pick to Stoutland University. You're getting CJ Gardner-Johnson's money off the books, and then you're kind of moving on. Like, I think it was very clear when Lane Johnson posted that Howie season with eyes 5 minutes after he was traded. I think that matters.
Mo, any thoughts?
No, look, I'm basically going to piggyback off of everything Gene said. The guy finds a way to impact teams and make winning plays and is a winning player, but he's not the most lovable, huggable guy in the locker room. But we'll see. I think wherever he lands, he has an impact.
Any thoughts, Ando?
You really can't argue what Gene or Mo said. I mean, you're spot on. Only thing really you can say is if CJ Johnson wants that long-term deal, he needs to shut up and play. He does the play part really well, but he doesn't shut up. So I guess take what you will from it. But yeah, I mean, CJ's at that point where he kind of needs to be like, oh, I'm making some money, but I could be making a lot more. What's the cause of maybe, keep my mouth shut and stay off social media. But
it's funny because like his attitude on the field, I'm perfectly fine with.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just delete his Twitter. Like you could literally walk up to him like, we'll give you $5 million. Just delete your Twitter.
Make it 7.5 and you got a deal, bro.
I think it was Herm.
We're firm on 5. Oh, 5? You guys suck. Take that.
I think Herm Edwards said it best when he says type it but don't press send.
Yeah.
Is what he needs to adapt in his everyday way of thinking when it comes to social media.
This is the same coach that told them that you play to win the game.
Exactly.
Hello.
Now I did want to go ahead and also get into Justin Fields as he gets signed to the Jets. Gene, I got to go to you on this one. You are the NFL genius. Is this his last chance of proving to be a starting quarterback?
I think it's his first chance.
Thank you.
I think it's, when you have a situation where you went to Chicago with a defensive head coach without an offensive line and the defensive head coach wasn't the coach that drafted you, that was a recipe for disaster. And then they're like, oh, well, you and Justin Fields can fight it out in Pittsburgh without an offensive line with a defensive head coach. Like this is the first time Justin Fields actually got the opportunity to pick.
And it wasn't like he was playing bad in Pittsburgh either. Like he was playing good. You were 4-2 before you made the switch. What? He's caught the short end of the stick, man. He is. Yeah.
Andrew, who's your squad?
What's that?
Who's your team?
Kansas City.
Okay. I was trying to piece together.
If you look on the back wall here, I have like 3 Kansas City hats.
There we go. And I just I love that for context, but the fact that you said that about Pittsburgh, it makes me.
I had a problem with it when it happened. And then the whole rest of the season, sure, you finished 10-7, but that means if you started 4-2, you would have finished the season 6-5. So Russell Wilson, you had a winning record, but Russell Wilson is supposed to be this needle moving quarterback. Oh, Russell Wilson is one of the better quarterbacks in the league. He can put the ball down the field, but the record isn't showing it. And the fact that you finished the season on a 4-game losing streak, you didn't really beat anybody in your division minus Cleveland and Cincinnati, which neither one of those teams made the playoffs this year. And then you trade away, what was it, like a 4th or 5th round pick to Chicago for Justin Fields. I was under the impression that they were looking at Justin as the quarterback of the future in Pittsburgh. And then it's, hey, 1 year, goodbye, see you, buddy, we're not going to pay.
I actually think they were looking at him as a quarterback of the future. And I think them starting Russell Wilson was their way to try to get Justin Fields back there on a discount and be able to sign him for an extension as a discount. Here's what I'll say. Yeah. Do not be surprised if Chris Olave is moved to the New York Jets and you reunite the boys with Justin Fields, Garrett Wilson, Chris Olave in New York. And I would love to see the Jets continue to invest in their offensive line and really see what you have in Justin Fields.
What was Fields' contract? 2 years for 40, right?
Years 40. Yep.
Yeah. So you're paying $20 million?
Correct.
That to get out of Pittsburgh, if the team doesn't believe me, I'm going to take that. Granted, it's the Jets, but I'm going to take that deal in a heartbeat by sticking it to the franchise who, hey, you wanted me to be the future. I'm not going to come back on a discount, right? You could have said 2 for 40 doesn't sound like a bad. I mean, that's not $50 million a year like Jacksonville's paying Trevor or Philadelphia's paying Jalen. That's discounted money. Like, I think the Jets are playing it right. The Jets went in, got a solid quarterback, and again, it's only 2 years. It's not like the Jets have had bad 2-year quarterback stints with Zach Wilson and Aaron Rodgers. I think it's a great move. And then you said it best, Gene, where if you can put the pieces around him and build that offensive line, hopefully keep the defense intact. This, I hate to say it because we were saying it the last 2 years with Aaron Rodgers, this could be the team that finally breaks through and makes the playoffs in the AFC East.
That's a nice defense too. That's a very nice defense that they got with the Jets right now. Very nice defense. Breece Hall is still there. Garrett Wilson is still there.
Yeah.
Hopefully they can make some noise. Any thoughts on Fields going to the Jets?
I like Aaron Glenn as the head coach too. I think that's a big culture change as well. Any
thoughts on Fields to the Jets, Mo?
As long as they show that they actually love him, put in a system in place that highlights his skill sets. If you value his talent, then you're going to put in a system that sets his talent up for success. I think Justin Fields is more than just a plug-in quarterback. I think that Justin Fields finally, like Gene said, this is his choosing. If Aaron Glenn, if the OC and company embrace him, don't be surprised if the Jets have one of the better offenses in football.
Oh, yeah.
I just love what they did last season with their offensive line. They brought in Tyron Smith. They brought in Elijah Vera Tucker. They have started to build that offensive line. They drafted Olu Fashanu. Like they have pieces there, right? And you get rid of Alan Lazard, you bring in Chris Olave, you have Garrett Wilson, Olave, guys that Fields are very familiar with. You have a running back in Breece Hall. You have a defensive coordinator managing a defense with tons of talent. You know, they added Andre Sisco. You have Sauce Gardner. You have Will McDonald. You have Quentin Williams. You have Quinnen Williams. Like, they have pieces there. Quincy and Quinnen. I probably said that wrong. I apologize.
Now they just need to gel together. That defense is ready to go. And I think down the stretch, the defense with the injuries that they had couldn't hold it together as the offense was finally piecing it together. If the defense can gel, I think even 80% of what they did last year, as long as the offense can keep up, this is a playoff team.
You gotta come out and go really heavy with Justin Fields. If you're not coming out in a lot of RPO formations, you're not valuing Justin Fields.
Right.
You're not.
Right.
I'm going to say something controversial when it comes to Justin. And Mo,
controversy?
and Mo, I hear you. I hear you when you're saying if you don't come out in a lot of RPOs. I think Justin Fields is a better thrower of the ball than runner of the ball. And if you go back and just watch him at Ohio State, he was never a big runner. The offensive lines and the terrible offensive coordinators in Chicago and Pittsburgh have forced him to become a runner. Justin Fields can throw. You do not need to give him the Lamar Jackson offensive treatment.
Right. All right, boys and girls.
Speaking of Lamar, did you hear that the Ravens signed D-Hop?
Yeah.
I do not agree with that.
I thought Nuke retired.
Nope, he came on a 1-year deal for $5 million, can be up to $9 million.
Yeah.
I didn't even see that.
He's really retired. He's retired.
Well, he's going to be, considering that offense, all they do is run. Cool, you got a deep threat that you can maybe use to put a couple safeties back, but you're still going to keep 7-8 guys in the box and stop Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson. So,
all right, gentlemen, great show. I appreciate everybody coming out. I appreciate everybody in the chat as well coming through. We're going to go ahead and finish on up Coffee and Sports in the Morning. Mo, go ahead and take us out.
Thank you guys so much for joining us this morning. Make sure you check out all the great content we have at Wire to Wire Network. Wire to Wire Network, we appreciate you.
For myself, for Gene, for Ando, for Mo, I will see you guys tomorrow right here on Wire to Wire Sports, 9 a.m. Eastern. Everyone have a great day. See you tomorrow.